I'm here at PackTech with Stuart Foster, who's the Chief Executive of Recoup, which is the Recycling of Used Plastics Limited. Stuart, I notice on your stand you talk about design for recycling. Tell me about what service you offer to brand owners to help them understand what they should do.
Okay, Recoup, a not-for-profit organisation, and we actually work across the supply chain to try and improve recyclability of plastics, particularly packaging. And the very first point to look at is actually where the packaging arrives from. So we understand that the brand owners and the pack designers actually hold the key to the rest of the chain. And that's not to say that everyone will be responsible for doing their own bit, but it's to say if we can get it right from the start, then it should help us. To that end, in 2004, we actually had commissioned a piece of work called Recyclability by Design. And the idea of that was effectively to provide designers and procurement people within organisations with the tools they need to at least understand how their decisions might impact on the recyclability of their pack. The project was actually funded by Reckitt Benckiser, not for Reckitt Benckiser, but actually for the industry as a whole to understand what's happening. Since its inception, it's had several updates, and it covers all the different polymer types, the formats, and talks about what's good for recycling and bad for recycling and how it might fit within the bigger picture.
In that we talk about design. For a lot of people, when they look at a product, the design is the label, it's the brand and so on. Do you think brand owners are really doing enough to bring consumers in on the secret of creating closed-loop recycling?
If you asked me that question 5 years ago, I would probably say that environmental considerations, which includes recycling, were almost an afterthought for most organisations that are producing the packs. I think today the consumer expects the suppliers of their products to understand the environmental implications. And whether that's recycling or not is almost a side issue, because we understand that recycling isn't the be-all and end-all. But certainly the consumers expect it, and I think we've got to a point now where I'd like to think the designers have enough information from us and other organisations to make the right decisions. In addition to that, we know that most brands aren't UK specific, and our guidance is designed with a global flavour in mind, which means it's also been signed off by European and other international groups. And just last year it was translated into Spanish for the Spanish packaging organisations to use as well.
Interesting. And do you think government is doing enough? I mean, it's all very well saying to a consumer you really must behave responsibly and take this used container and put it into the recycling stream. Are enough recycling facilities available?
I think before I answer that, I should say I think I'm in quite a privileged position because Recoup represent the entire supply chain. I can have a genuine, unpolitical, unbiased view on life. And what you do tend to find is that fingers get pointed elsewhere. So if you're government, you look elsewhere for the solution. If you're business, you look elsewhere, as with the consumer. I genuinely believe that come the end of March, the UK certainly will have some more guidance on future plastics packaging targets in terms of recycling. I think more can be done, but I think as a case study point, in the UK we're collecting 48% of bottles for recycling.
Really?
But the majority of UK households have access to a convenient recycling option for their bottles. So it's not about providing the collection infrastructure now, it's about consumer engagement, behaviour change, and somehow rescuing the other 52% of bottles that can't be collected. For the other plastic packaging fractions, particularly the pots, tubs and trays, there does need to be more investment and more thought. It's not just about collecting it. In that instance, we need to be able to sort it through the appropriate infrastructure and get it to the right recyclers. And certainly at this event tomorrow, rather than taking up another speaker slot, I've invited one of the key UK recyclers of pots, tubs and trays to actually tell the audiences directly about what can help them to deliver what they want to achieve. And it's for the benefit of everybody, because the consumers want to see it, the brand owners know it's the right thing to do, the recyclers want more material. So together, under the umbrella of new targets from government and help from across the supply chain, I think we can get there, but it's not going to be easy.
What about the debate around biodegradability, about composting?
That's much simpler for us as Recoup, not forgetting the aforementioned balanced and impartial view, but our statement on bioplastics and biodegradable plastics is if it's recyclable or you're intending to set up a recycling system in the near future for a product, don't use biodegradable polymers. If it's something that's not going to be recycled in the short term, then by all means use it. I also think we need to be careful now because there's a new breed of biopolymer, new innovations around using sugarcane, for example, and I don't want bio-based polymers that a number of major brands are starting to look at confused with biodegradable polymers.
Okay, so it's the case, isn't it, that biopolymers are as recyclable as petrochemical derived polymers, so that you want them recycled in the same way and the same messages for brand owners around how that recycling should take place?
Yes, effectively, biopolymers will be invisible to the consumer. The products will look exactly the same. It will go through the sorting and recycling systems exactly the same, and it's really not an issue. And certainly, I would point towards the likes of Coca-Cola with a sustainability plan where they're looking to introduce the ultimate sustainable bottle as soon as they can.
Yeah, which is the plant bottle, of course.
Absolutely, combined with recycled content.
Of course. So what haven't we covered? What else is there to say about Recoup, its work, and what's next?
I think there are challenges ahead. I think there's almost a sense of everyone thinks they're doing the right thing, but with a level of apathy. So it's almost a call to action, and it's a different call to action for each of the sectors. Consumers just need to recycle and collect all the bottles because the system is there. In terms of pots, tubs and trays, the government need to assist the industry, the waste and recycling industry, to put the infrastructure in to actually recover that material, particularly before we collect so much that it starts causing quality issues. And actually through this interview, one thing we haven't mentioned is quality, but it's certainly something on everyone's lips. Particularly as the UK develop infrastructure to try and develop the highest grade applications, food grade replacement. They need good material going in to get the good material out. I think overriding that, Recoup will continue to try and encourage cross-sector involvement in developing these solutions and see where we get to. But certainly up to 2020 it's going to be an interesting time.
And I hope we'll follow that interesting time on foodbev.com, and we'll speak to you again. Stuart, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for downloading this foodbev.com podcast. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Vimeo, Google+, and LinkedIn.